Hi, Ian Troop. I'm a fly fishing guide, instructor, and competitive angler. I'm going to tie one of my favorite flies for difficult situations. This fly is called a No See Um. All right, so I'm going to tie another really simple fly. I call it in the guide series. This is about as simple as it gets, but trust me, simplicity does not mean it doesn't catch fish. So I call this fly a No See Um. You'll see why in a moment. It is a really simple fly that does a very good job on pressured fish. So if you're fishing behind someone, if you've got really clear water, if you want to fish small and not have to have that small of a hook. So this would be the max size I tie, which would be a 14. I much prefer it in a 16 or an 18. 16 is kind of the sweet spot. And in an 18, you're kind of, when I explain the fly, you'll realize you're kind of fishing a smaller fly on a bigger hook. I do like this is a black nickel bead from Hanak. This is a 3.5, so I'm just showing you a heavy version. Choose the right bead, 3, 2, 2.5 to suit your needs. I really like it in a black bead or a black nickel bead. The whole point of this is keeping it pretty sparse. There's no rules that can't say you can't. I've fished it off a silver bead. You can fish it off a copper bead, but I tend to use it in my mind anyways as a pressured fish scenario. So black, nickel, and black, but don't constrain yourself to bead color. Choose your own adventure. So again, I'm using a Hanak 230 BL. A couple reasons I like that. You could fish this on a jig hook. I just like the profile with this hook, and I'm using a slotted bead. I use slotted beads for whether I'm using a jig hook or not. Main reason is when I turn this around, and I'm going to tie it so it inverts. It inverts the fly so you get the action of a jig hook, but you get a really nice gap between the hook point and the hook eye. So if you can use a slotted bead, would it work with a non-slotted? Absolutely. So if you don't have one, don't worry about it. But if you're purchasing, I would lean towards a slotted bead. So what I'm going to do is use black thread. This is one where I would recommend using black thread or a dark thread. It's a pretty simple fly, you'll see. I wouldn't even go as far down as half the body. That's about as far down as a thread base. We're really going to just lock in the bead now. So 2 ways to do it. If you have a vise that inverts, just turn your vise upside down and angle your thread. I'm just trying to lock that bead in. Other way would just be use your thumbnail and go like this. With all my flies, I recommend locking in the bead in first. With this one, absolutely, because we're almost done. So yeah, I'm not joking when I say that. Make sure you've locked this in really well, more than normal. And I'm just doing a couple more wraps here. Okay, so we've locked in the bead. You can see it's sitting kind of bulbous on the top, that healthy gap. Run your thread, a quarter way down, and then we're going to just put dubbing in behind this hook, and that is the No See Um. So those who've seen some of my videos, I like Hare's ear number 1. Here's some just dark dubbing. You could use any Hare's ear. I like the Hare's ear number 1 because it's got a little bit of Antron in it, but I do sometimes mix in. So you could just dub that in behind the hook. No problem. What I'm going to do is grab a little pinch of a little bit of darker. It's going to give me a little bit of a little bit of spiky fibers coming out. You could use squirrel dub, also works equally well. Really fancy blending. I've just plucked it a couple of times. So grab a pinch, dub it on the hook. I dub this one loose, so we're not going for a tiny little body here. We're just putting in, call it a thorax, and you're gonna run your dubbing right up that little ramp up behind the bead. And don't worry, we're almost done. I'll pluck it out at this point just to see if I put enough dubbing on, so you can see my, pluck that away. Yeah, I could probably add a bit more of that. So you could leave it like that. That's probably gonna come off in fishing, so here. It's dynamic, you just add a bit more, take it off, pluck that out a bit more. Okay, that's probably enough. So all you can see is I've got a little bit of, it's like a emaciated Hare's ear, just a little bit of dubbing, and I'm not trying to dub a body. I'm just trying to put a little bit of fur behind the hook. And we are done. So if you think about it, that's a size 14, fishing about the size of an 18. So you're fishing a pretty small fly. They'll fill in the blanks. I like the way of thinking that. The fish sees something it knows could be food. The body is thin. And this fly works for steelhead and trout, so don't be afraid to fish this on pressured waters behind people that are fishing bright colored stuff. The worst thing that's going to happen is it won't catch a fish, but you will be amazed at how many fish that simple fly will catch. So that's the No See Um.